I need to like manage my expectations as well.
I'm either nauseous or I'm hungry.
I'm gonna go look at the parasite.
What I really want is just to be admitted into hospital and just to be on a constant drip of fluids. Okay, I can't believe this video's happening. Hi everybody, welcome to a very special episode of the Hormone Diaries. The one we've all been waiting for, the one that I have been waiting for. You already know, it's in the title. I'm pregnant. I am pregnant. This video is going to be the me finding out and the first trimester because oh boy, was that a horrible time. At the time of recording this, I am 14 weeks. By the time that you're seeing this, I'll be 16 weeks. But before we dive into all of the vlog footage, I just want to say, because I see you in the comments, I know that a lot of people who are watching this series are also on their own fertility journeys, and I also know from experience of it taking a long time that sometimes seeing pregnancy or birth announcements really got me down. And I spoke about that in a previous video as well. And so I just want to say that you do not have to watch this video if it is gonna upset you. And that is also not your fault. You are not a bad person. I'm giving you permission to not watch because I know that I also felt bad of like, well, I have to watch this. I have to like be happy for them. I have to show my support. But then I would just end up like feeling really sad. And I just wanted to send you lots and lots of love, and also like if you want to, need to not watch this video right now, that doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't mean that you are not happy for me, stranger across the internet. You're just looking out for yourself, and that's absolutely fine. I just wanted to say that up front. Okay, I don't think I've got anything more to say in this intro. You will see my face popping up here and there throughout this vlog with added context and information and things, and then again at the end. Yeah, there you go. First trimester vlog, the Hormone Diaries, episode 10. Let's go. Okay, so I think it's wishful thinking, but I could be pregnant. And I made a list. Okay, let's talk through the list. I haven't taken a pregnancy test yet because I don't think it's worth it just yet, but reasons why I could be pregnant. My boobs started to hurt on day 1 of my high temperatures. This is unusual for me. Normally my boobs start hurting a few days after, like 3 or 4 days, maybe even more than that, after my first high temperature. So this is something that I noticed that was different. However, could mean absolutely nothing.
It's true.
It's true. could mean fuck all. And if anything, the day 1 of high temperatures is like ovulation day, or like day after ovulation. You probably you might not even have a fertilized egg by then, or definitely not an implanted one. So definitely not a pregnancy by then, because it takes like a few days for a embryo to become a blastocyst or whatever in it to implant. Anyway, reason number 2 why I might be pregnant. My tits feel more heavy and sore than usual. But not pregnant. It's hard to compare these things, and I might be imagining it and wishful thinking. Third reason I might be pregnant. I think I've got a triphasic BBT chart. So this is where like you get your temperature increase after ovulation, but then you have another bump in your temperature increase, and my chart is kind of showing that kind of like next like staircase of increases. And this is a possible sign of early pregnancy. However, the data is not conclusive. And actually, so if you have a triphasic BBT chart, apparently you are 3 times more likely to be pregnant than not pregnant. However, the majority of people with triphasic BBT charts are not pregnant. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Dan gets it. Right, other reason why I could be pregnant. I've now had 16 days in a row of high temperatures. This is my record. So the longest amount of high temperatures I've had is 16 days. And then on day 17, I got my period, so that became day 1. Next after that was like 13 days. And then I think I've had a couple of 11s of like number of days with high temperatures. So if I don't get my period tomorrow, because today is day 16 of high temperatures, if tomorrow morning I still have a high temperature and my period doesn't come, because usually me taking my temperature in the morning and it having plummeted is usually for me my first sign of like, okay, my period's going to come today. So if that doesn't happen tomorrow and we get a full day 17, then I might take a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no counter to that, other than the counter to that is I might get my period tonight or tomorrow, or at some point in the next few days. And also, I read somewhere on the internet, Jesus Christ, Hannah, that 16 days is kind of like the max of high temperatures, because usually it's your luteal phase, so that post ovulation, that is more regular than your follicular. Like that's the one that varies, and that's kind of what it's like for me. That's the one that varies like 5 to 10 days, whereas this one only varies like a few days. Anyway, reason I'm not pregnant. I've got PCO. Reason I could be pregnant. I've had some different kind of cramping pains, like the kind of cramping pains that I normally associated with like my ovulation cramps, but I had them like 2 days ago. Oh, I didn't write this on the other side, but those cramping pains could mean nothing. Reason that we are maybe not pregnant. I am maybe not pregnant. And without going into too much detail about our sex life, the only sex that we had this cycle that fell in my fertile window was an accidental withdrawal. So the chances are low. I mean, you still can, but the chances are much lower. And then again, reason I could be not pregnant is that is statistically more likely than me being pregnant. There we go.
What fun. In short,
Who knows? Yeah, in short, I'll take a test if I don't get my period tomorrow.
What fun.
You getting your hopes up yet?
No. It seems illogical too.
I made a whole table. I'm definitely not getting my hopes up.
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. No, I'm fully expecting my period to arrive tomorrow, but wishing that it won't. I had another high temperature this morning, so we're on day 17, and as long as my period doesn't mysteriously arrive today, I think I'm gonna take a pregnancy test tomorrow morning. Will this be the first time that my period has ever been late? Because I have like irregular cycles, so my period is always late. It just never shows up on time. But I wasn't like tracking my ovulation and temperature and things. So this time it's like actually late. Morning.
Good morning.
So this next clip is the day I found out I was pregnant. Now, I didn't film my live reaction because it was first thing in the morning and I was naked. But this is the clip of me a bit later on once I had showered and dressed.
Good morning. So today is 18 of high temperatures, and oh boy, my dreams last night / I think in the early morning were just so weird. Like I just kept on dreaming that I was waking up and taking my temperature, and the readings were like not what I wanted. And it was just like, it was so weird because, and it happened multiple times. So it was like in my dream, I was like waking up so many times. And so when I eventually did wake up, I'm like, is this real? But clearly having lots of anxiety dreams. But when I did finally take my temperature, it was still a high temperature, but it was definitely lower than the other ones. And so I immediately was just like, well, period isn't coming today, but it will come tomorrow. But for peace of mind, I was just like, I'm just gonna take a pregnancy test just to kind of like get that out of the way instead of just like feeling anxious about it all day, because I think I've just been like, my brain has just been preoccupied with this for the last couple of days, and I'm just like, bleh. So I get out of bed, I go to the toilet, I pee on the stick, and I just turn it over because I'm just like, I can't look at this. It's probably negative because like the only sex we had around my fertile window was an accidental withdrawal, as we mentioned. And then this happened. What the fuck? The line is fainter, but it says that that's still a positive result. And then I did another one, and that one also has 2 lines. What the fuck? How am I pregnant? Dan and I are honestly just like, how did we manage that? Why, body? Why are you so weird? Oh my god. Yeah, so that's my morning, and now I want to tell fucking everyone, but probably not. Need to tell the doctor first. I've drank so much alcohol in the last like couple of weeks, like more booze than I think I've drank over the whole pandemic. It's fine. I mean, that's definitely 2 lines. I've never had a positive pregnancy test result before. This is a new thing for me. How did we manage it? It makes no sense. Unless I just ovulated at a completely different time. Or, turns out kids, withdrawal isn't a perfect contraceptive method. Okay, well, I need to go to work and have a normal day and behave like everything is normal. What the fuck? I need to like manage my expectations as well, because like, whew, this is just step 1 and you never know what's gonna happen. Dan is much better at managing his expectations than me. So yeah, we will see, we will see. I just got to the office and I brought the other pack of pregnancy tests that I had at home because I think I just feel like I need to check constantly. But I needed a wee again, and this time it's like bold lines. Boom. I honestly don't know how I'm gonna concentrate on work today. I've got so much to do and my head is like, blah. But I just did a self-referral to my local hospital, which is where I'm under care for my ulcerative colitis and my ileostomy as well. So it's good to kind of like have it under one roof. It's just an online form, and then they'll be in touch. Who knows how soon? I don't know. I have no idea how I'm gonna concentrate on anything today. We've not done an update sat here in a while, have we? Well, I am so distracted. I can't think about anything else. Dan is very good at managing his own expectations. I really want to manage mine because maybe it's a chemical pregnancy, maybe I'll miscarry. Miscarriages are very common in early pregnancy, and yeah, I'm just like trying to bear that all in mind and not get my hopes up too much. But one thing that is very cool is that I can get pregnant. It takes a while, but it happens. So I spoke to someone at the hospital yesterday and they basically said it takes 5 working days for someone to process my self-referral form. So that will be Thursday next week because we have a bank holiday weekend. But it just feels weird now just to be waiting, and I feel like I'm just gonna continue taking my temperature every morning and maybe even like buying some more pregnancy tests and doing them regularly just to kind of like check that I'm still pregnant. I don't know if that's just like going overboard. I'm also currently doing Clue's free trial of their like membership plus app thing, because that's where their like pregnancy tracker symptoms and stuff are, because I like put in like positive pregnancy test and it was like, you're pregnant, do a free trial to track your pregnancy, and I was like, fine. Although there's really not much to track at the moment other than my boobs. Like, are my boobs just gonna continually hurt forever until the end of time? But yeah, I'm pregnant. Like literally Dan said, I was like, Dan, at what point will you get excited? And he was like, I will get excited once baby is out of you and baby and you are okay. And I was like, okay, so that's a while. So I think I spent like 30 quid yesterday on various pregnancy tests, but I did one of the like fancy digital ones this morning that also tells you how many weeks. And there it is. There's the word pregnant, 2 to 3 weeks. I'm definitely not getting my hopes up. That's not what this is. Hello. I'm heading home early from work today because I'm really tired. I've been tired all day today and all day yesterday, and I don't know if I'm just like overthinking that maybe it's early pregnancy symptoms, or I'm just tired because this doesn't feel any different to like when I'm normally tired. The other update is that everything is going so slowly. Like, it has not even been a week since I found out I was pregnant, and the days are just going so slow. Oh, it's honestly so painful. I'm just waiting to get any kind of appointment to have a scan. I don't really know how pregnant I am. So here's my theory about how pregnant I am. Apparently doctors count weeks of pregnancy from your last period, from day 1 of your last bleed. Now, if I did that, I would be like 7.5 weeks pregnant right now. That is not the case, because I know that I didn't ovulate until like day 26 of my cycle. So the whole like measuring how pregnant you are from day 1 of your last bleed is basically assuming that you ovulate on day 14 and that you have like a 28-day cycle. So if I just take 2 weeks off, minus 2 weeks from when I ovulated, that is basically doing the same calculation. So according to that calculation, my due date is the 1st of May, and I'm 5 and a bit weeks pregnant. Wait, hold on. I'm definitely not getting my hopes up. That's not what's happening here. I'm literally only 5 weeks pregnant. That doesn't mean anything. But then the clear blue pregnancy test was like 2 to 3 weeks pregnant. So who knows? But 2 to 3 weeks pregnant would make sense of like actual pregnancy plus the 2 weeks that they just add for lols. I do actually have more work to do this evening, but it's just calls. So might as well sack off the rest of the day if I'm going to be working on calls later. Okay, 3 things. 1, I forgot to cancel my free trial for the Clue like paid version of the app, which gives you access to like their pregnancy version. So I just paid like 23 quid. It's fine. It's fine. It happens. I guess I'm using the pregnancy Clue app now. So far it's really not telling me anything, and also I don't really have anything to tell it. There's not much going on. On that note, I think I'm imagining things going on because there's so much not going on. Like the last 3 days, I've been so tired, but I also might just be overworked. It just might be regular tiredness, like, I don't know. But it is unusual for me to have like 3 days in a row where I'm knackered at work. Like yesterday, I went home at like 2:30 and just continued doing some like low level, less intensive work from the sofa. And right now I'm just waiting for a podcast recording that I've got this evening, and then I'm going home, but they're in America, so time difference. Just so tired. 3rd thing, I think I've been nauseous today, but like, again, am I just imagining this because I'm just hoping for more symptoms that I actually have, just to kind of like in my head confirm that I'm pregnant? Because even though I've done lots of positive pregnancy tests, I'm like, I don't really feel any different. I don't feel pregnant. So I think I felt a little nauseous this morning, but not like I've felt nauseous in the past, and like nothing like that. I just couldn't tell if it was nausea or hunger. And I don't normally eat breakfast, but this morning I had a chocolate muffin and a banana because that my body was just like, I'm either nauseous or I'm hungry, and I think that if it's either one of these problems, it's going to be solved by eating something. So that's what I did. And then I got hungry for lunch like way sooner than expected. And then again, right now, I've got that same feeling of like, is it nausea? Is it hunger? I don't know. Or is it just like, are you nervous? I don't know. But luckily, this morning when I bought my banana and my muffin, I bought 2 bananas. So now I have my 2nd banana. Oh wait, no, I lied. 4 things. Today is 5 working days since I did the self-referral to the hospital, and the person I spoke to on the phone last week said it takes 5 working days and then they'll be in touch. And I'm like, so they'll be in touch on exactly the 5th working day? But probably not. But I'm a massive kino, so I'm probably going to ring them up tomorrow because then it's the weekend. Or if I can hold off tomorrow, then maybe I ring them on Monday. Oh, no, do I just ring them tomorrow? Every day is going so slow. Every day I'm getting my hopes up, and every day I'm terrified that something is going to go wrong. Fun times. Okay, 5th thing actually. My friend Melanie has had an entire pregnancy, and her son is almost a year old, and I haven't seen her in that entire time. The last time I saw her was about a week before she did a positive pregnancy test in January 2020. But I have flights to go visit her, and I'm going to Ireland the weekend of her son's 1st birthday, and I cried when we booked them, and I'm honestly just so excited. However, I'm now real nervous that I'm going to be in the thick of 1st trimester and I won't be able to go, which will be so annoying. Mel had to cancel coming to London for VidCon London, which was February 2020, because of her morning sickness and because of her nausea and everything, and her 1st trimester symptoms. And so I didn't get to see her then because of her pregnancy. And I'm just like, oh, we're not going to be able to see each other again because of my pregnancy. It's honestly going to be devastating. Obviously, super happy that I'm pregnant, but you know, swings and roundabouts. But we'll see. I'm like crossing my fingers that maybe I don't experience a really awful 1st trimester and I can still go to Ireland and see one of my best friends and her baby, who I've not seen in almost 2 years. Last time I saw her, she wasn't married, she wasn't a mum. What the fuck? What the fuck? No need to call the hospital because as soon as I got home from work yesterday, there were 2 letters both from the hospital. One with an appointment for just like an antenatal hospital appointment. I'm assuming talking to a midwife, and that is around 8 weeks from my own calculations. And then also an appointment for an ultrasound, which is around 10, 11 weeks, which will be like the dating scan and like checking everything, I think. So yeah, got some appointments. Now just have to wait. The first one is like 2 weeks away, so just gotta be patient. The is it nausea or is it hunger from yesterday, today is definitely nausea, but it's like so subtle that I'm like, am I imagining this? But it's just constant. It's not fun. But this feels very light, and I'm like, oh, this could get worse. I'm also very gassy. And also this morning, although this is a very normal thing for me to do, I don't think it's really got anything to do with like pregnancy hormones or anything. I don't even know like when that may or may not kick in, but I was listening to the new ABBA songs, and then my Spotify just immediately started playing Honey Honey after it, and I was having a great time, and it made me think of Mamma Mia, and then my brain was like, oh, imagine a Mamma Mia secret cinema, and then I was thinking about how good that would be, and then I just started crying. Because I was like, it would be so good. I just love Mamma Mia. But that is normal behavior from me. Like, if I wasn't pregnant, I would expect something like that to happen. So anyway, feeling nauseous a little bit nauseous, and got some appointments. Luckily, I'm still doing my like free Fridays, like Fridays off, like doing my own thing. So I've like had little bits of work to do today. But now I think I'm just gonna chill on the sofa and play some video games, because I have a tennis tournament tomorrow. A whole day, and maybe, depending on how well I do, another half day of tennis this weekend. So we'll see.
Oh my goodness, did the symptoms get so much worse? I can't even believe that there was a time when I was just like, I want there to be more symptoms so then I'll feel more pregnant. No, Hannah, no. You don't actually feel more pregnant when you are feeling like shit. You just feel like an ill person. It's not fun. So that tennis tournament feels like a lifetime ago. I'm really glad I did it, because it was the last weekend and the last time that I really had the energy for doing anything like that. And after that weekend was when I crashed hard. Now, funny story. So I felt a little bit nauseous on that Saturday and Sunday playing tennis, but ultimately I was fine because I felt well enough to play tennis, and I played, I think, despite losing, some of my best tennis that weekend. But the Sunday was mine and Dan's 1 year wedding anniversary. So I left the tennis tournament and went to hang out with my husband in the afternoon. We did an archery lesson, which was so much fun. And then we come home to this 3-course dinner that Dan had spent hours preparing whilst I was off playing tennis. And it was the worst timing, because that evening was when the nausea really kicked in, and just the like fatigue and just feeling like absolute shite. I think I like had a few bites of this epic 3-course anniversary dinner that Dan had made for me, and I just feel so bad. And yeah, I just basically spiraled from there. That was my last good half day.
So much for wanting pregnancy symptoms to kick in so that I would feel more pregnant, because I feel like shit. Oh my god, I'm so tired. All of the time I've had to scale back on so much work because I literally like cannot do anything. I've been trying to come into the office in the mornings, and then I just have to go home in the afternoon and just nap. And this morning I think I got in at like 9:30, and it's like 11 o'clock now, and I'm like, that's it, I'm spent. I'm completely spent. I have no spoons left. I'm so tired. It's just like I got maybe like 10, 11 hours sleep last night. I've been waking up periodically in the night though, but able to get back to sleep. And I wake up and I'm like, I had such good sleep. Like, I feel rested. And then about 5 minutes later after standing up, I'm like, and I need to go back to bed now. And then I like power through trying to do some work in the mornings, and now I'm done. I'm just done. That's where I'm at. I need to go home and lie on the sofa and sleep. The nausea hasn't gotten worse, which is good. It's just a constant underlying, like, I need to be nibbling on something right now. But it's the tiredness that's just fucking hit me. I was meant to be going to Manchester this weekend to see my family. I've had to cancel because I cannot. And in 2 weekends' time, I'm meant to be going to Ireland to see Mel and baby. And I think I might just have to push through to do that. I know I shouldn't, but we'll see how I feel. But it would be so good if I can't go. And all I have to do is like get on the plane and then fall asleep on the plane and then get to Mel's and just fall asleep and just have cuddles with her and baby, and that's all will be required of me. I threw up for the first time last night. That was fun. Just on the sofa, like, Dan, get me a ball. I did feel better after throwing up, but I felt like better in terms of I felt worse before I threw up, and then I went back to feeling my general shittiness. Why am I still working? I literally can't do anything. I thought that there might be like good days and bad days in terms of like my energy of like, oh, I feel like I can do some stuff today, and then other days where I'm like, nope, and it's just like every day is a no. I'm basically like putting like one thing on my to-do list each day and struggling through that. How do people do this? How do people with normal jobs where they have to go into work and their colleagues and their boss don't know they're pregnant and they're feeling like this? How? Like, I've trimmed back on so much work. I've cancelled so many things. I am taking breaks from content, like, how? If you can hear that, it's my stoma just like, on my way into the studio, on the mornings that I do come in, I've been going via McDonald's and getting myself a hash brown. But then the moment I eat something, I just like, such a horrible taste in my mouth.
So yes, this was a symptom of pregnancy that I didn't know about before, but it's described online as like a metallic taste in your mouth. But if I hadn't read that, I don't think I would have described it that way. It's just like the most disgusting taste in your mouth. And then also like just, you know when you're ill and you have that like white layer on your tongue and you just want to like brush it off and you're just like, ugh. Or if you've drunk too much Coke or eaten too many sweets, then you're just like, I have a sugary layer in my mouth. It's that physical feeling plus like this really disgusting taste. It's horrible. It was like up there in terms of like my worst symptoms. It is much better now. I still am a bit like, but it's not like repulsive anymore. But here we are. We made it to our first antenatal appointment. Felt like a lifetime. We are at the hospital for my first antenatal appointment. I don't really know what to expect, just lots of questions and answers, I guess, at this point. I feel terrible. Yay! We are all done. I have blood on my arm. Oops. But yeah, we got all of the questions asked about our health, our family's health. What else? I did.
Do you do any drugs?
Yeah, I had to do a toxicology urine sample because I said I'd smoked cannabis in the past. So checking my urine for some drugs and just a regular urine sample, blood test. And we now have the scan in a few weeks that we already had booked in. And we have 2 more appointments now. So after the scan, I've got an appointment with the consultant because of my like previous surgeries and my stoma and stuff. I just need to have an appointment with a medical doctor to kind of say, yeah, you're good to be looked after by the midwife unit or not, like we'll see. And then a 16-week appointment back at the midwife unit, which I can't remember what that one was. Lots of more tests.
Well, no, that's when you get your paperwork.
More tests and lots of paperwork.
Or they like give you your like pregnancy plan, or they start looking.
Or note your big file or whatever that you then have to keep on you. But yeah, next thing is the scan, which is in 2-3 weeks.
Something like that.
Okay, and I'm just gonna lie down on the sofa for the rest of the day now. I'm very tired. Today is a hard day. I have burst into like uncontrollable panicky tears twice, mostly just because I physically feel like shit and it seems never ending. I know it's not forever, but it's just every day and at least for another month. Like, you never know. But then also I just feel really isolated. Not many of my friends in London know that I'm pregnant, and it's really difficult basically feeling like I'm in lockdown again because I just can't go anywhere or do anything. I don't have the energy and I feel like a sick person again, and I've been really sick before. I don't know, my brain keeps on making comparisons from like feeling sick now to when I was in hospital, and that's just not fun stuff to be reminded of. And also my brain hasn't like fully connected that there is potentially a baby at the end of this, and that's like what I want, and that's a really good thing. Like, I've not let my brain really accept that yet. Like, I'm 8 weeks now, I think, and every day I'm pregnant, chances of miscarriage goes down. My brain still hasn't like accepted you're ill for a good reason, you're not like sick the way that I was before, when actually like my body was destroying itself. Like, this is my body just like using up all of its resources to try and like build an organ. I don't know whether because I'm missing my large intestine makes my fatigue worse, because your large intestine is where you absorb water and salts, and basically because I don't have a colon, I get dehydrated more easily, like low in salts and whatever, sodium, blah 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 blah, which can affect like your energy levels, like if you're not drinking enough water or you don't have enough nutrients and stuff. So I don't know, I have no idea if that is like making my fatigue worse. I also have an autoimmune disease, colitis, like that one of the symptoms of is fatigue, and I wouldn't say I'm like in remission now. Like, obviously most of my disease was in my colon, which has been removed, but I still have my rectal stump, which still has some inflammation. So I have no idea if because the disease is still present in my rectum, who knows. Anyway, all this to say, I broke down twice today. Dan was amazing. He really just like helped me through the first one, and then he was working, and the second time I broke down, I called my family, and my parents and my sister answered the phone, and so now my mum is coming down tomorrow to see me, and my sister ordered some Deliveroo. She ordered some fruit pastels arrived, some Fanta arrived, some crisps, and some Ben & Jerry's ice cream, which is now in the freezer. So my family are great. I love them very much. And I think I'm gonna tell some more of my friends who live close to me and can actually come see me. Because it's hard. I don't know if I've ever like let myself cry on camera before. You may recognize this top as my sex education Maeve Wiley dress up top, because in an hour and 20 minutes I'm supposed to be doing a live stream talking about the new season of Sex Education, and I haven't cancelled it yet because I really want to do it. And also, this is my last week of videos before I'm taking 2 weeks off, and then in October I'm just doing a video every other week, because I have some branded ones that are already contracted in. So I'm literally just going to try and do the bare minimum, but I just really want to do this live stream today just to kind of like do it, and then 2 weeks no videos. It's really fucking hard, but also really easy because I work for myself, and so I can lighten my workload. That is basically entirely in my control. I don't have a boss, I don't have to go into the office, so I'm like really grateful for that. I've probably said this a million times, but I have no idea how people in their first trimester of pregnancy, if they're experiencing really bad fatigue or nausea, how they do it if they have a normal job and their like colleagues or their boss don't know. Like, fuck me. I've told a bunch of the people that I work with just so that everyone knows what the fuck is going on. Part of me wishes that I could tell my viewers now so that I could explain better my break, but I just don't want to. Like, I don't feel ready to. I really want to tell my patrons, but no, I'm just not ready to. Is it weird that talking to a camera I now feel better and I feel a bit more equipped to do this live stream in just over an hour? I need to get to the office. Just gotta get through this. Just gotta get through this first. bit. In 2 weeks and 1 day, I have my first ultrasound. I'm taking every day as it comes. That is the next thing that I'm now counting down to. And I am going to Ireland this weekend. It will knock me out, but I will be just as tired if I stay here. It's not gonna do me any harm going. And in fact, I think mentally, it will do me a lot of good going. And I think actually staying here will mentally do me a lot of harm. So I'm going to Ireland on Friday. Made it to Ireland, but also now I'm about to leave Ireland because I've not filmed a thing. I've felt the best that I've felt in weeks.
Apart from when you were thrown up in the sea.
But I did throw up on the beach.
She was just in the car. She was like, I'd really love a McDonald's. I think that would make me feel better. So we were like, all right, let's all go drive to McDonald's. We pop the baby in the car seat. We go on our big drive. And then Hannah's like, oh. And then she just goes silent for a while. And the music's playing. And then I think I'm going to get sick. And I was trying to empty out a McDonald's bag for you. I was like transferring everything into the second bag. And she's like, no. And we stopped in the middle of the road. And Tom was like, I think she's really going for it. And you're just like in the distance. And I had no socks. I had no shoes on. I ran out in my socks to go over to her.
Yeah. I basically threw up that orange juice that I had this morning. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my second pregnancy vom. But my energy levels,
they've been quite impressive.
So much better. And I'm like, is this a phase? Is this an adrenaline thing from this weekend? Is this actually like, I'm over the worst of it? We'll find out.
You've had a couple
I
of
still feel
sleepy
shit.
dips. Yeah.
But
you're still like, definitely still pregnant.
Definitely still pregnant. But like, holy shit, the last 3 weeks have actually just completely floored me. But these last
I'm
3
so glad
days-
you got on the plane. I was so
plane.
nervous that she wasn't going to feel capable of coming over. I'm really happy that you did.
How's it been hanging out with a pregnant person and a mum?
Well, I don't have it. I don't have a uterus, so you know, I can relate in theory.
Like, I know what it feels like to throw up in the middle of a day.
Yeah, I've had a hangover. I know how it feels. It's not that hard, Hannah.
I've had a hangover for an entire weekend. Yeah. Relatable. But yeah, no. I thought I'd film this quick clip before we get on a plane home. And then you have to come to
I'm going to bring my
London
baby
next.
and I'm going to rub your bump.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you're going to have a little bump.
I'll hopefully have a bump then.
Yeah. Are we calling it Parasite in the vlog?
Yeah, parasite.
I used to call mine It. And I was like, please stop calling your baby It. But it just helps.
It helps.
just
It helps with the not feeling too attached. And I still don't really actually feel pregnant.
Just feel ill.
Just feel
Oh my goodness, Ireland was so good. I am so glad that I went. Miraculously, the evening before I left was when I noticed like a little improvement, and I was like, I'm feeling mildly better this evening. Not 100% by any means, but it did mean that I like had experienced like a slight bump up in just how I was feeling for that weekend. I feel like for me during the first trimester, there would be like a shift in something, and then that shift would stay, and then there would be a next improvement shift like a few weeks later. But that one, right before I went to Ireland at around 9 weeks, I think I was then, that was my first like improvement shift. But I also don't know whether that was due to like a mental improvement because of being able to go to Ireland and hang out with Melanie and her baby and Callum obviously as well, but also right after that was when I started telling my friends and had people like coming over and actually visiting me and like feeling a bit more real because friends knew that I was pregnant. There were also shifts that like went in the other direction for some symptoms, specifically throwing up. There was about a week period where I was just throwing up every evening, and that was like later in the first trimester. I don't know. But next up, it is scan time. And also I'm really sorry about the very loud cricket making a lot of squeaky noises in the background of this next clip.
Welcome back to Dan's terrible camera work.
It's scan day. I'm drinking lots of fluid, so I have a full bladder. Water tastes disgusting to me now, so we're on the squash. I think I'm nervous. I feel so sick this morning.
Yeah, Hannah's having a bad time of it.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. Taking the day off work. Gonna go look at a ghost. Cool.
What?
They always look like ghosts, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm gonna go look at the parasite.
Yeah.
Hopefully it has a heartbeat.
Is there anything else we want to talk about?
Dan wants it to be twins.
Yeah, that would be very handy.
I wouldn't mind it because I wouldn't want to do this again. Oh, actually, I remember one thing. So, I think I'm 10 and a half weeks and the due date is the 30th of April. But we'll actually find out, I think. So they count it from your last period, which they assume is 2 weeks before you ovulated, whereas I ovulated on day 27 of my cycle. So I'm counting my weeks of pregnancy from 2 weeks before I ovulated, because I was tracking that. And so, I don't know, I think they can also probably tell from the size of it. So we'll find out. We'll see if they come up with something different. I read today
Embryos.
that the fetus's intestines develop outside of the body and then at one point they then go into it. Which is so fucking weird. How fucking... It like develops in a separate sac and then goes, and now we go inside the fetus.
Hey, the body knows what's up.
Oh my god. I have an intestine on the outside of my body. Me and the fetus are the same. Like mother, like child. Right, that's good.
All done. So I was right. They reckon I'm about 11 weeks. I think I'm about 10 and a half. And so actually the fetus is too small to do some of the screenings. So we have another appointment next week for another ultrasound. But there was a heartbeat. How many, what was it, 178 beats per minute? And it's currently 42.6 millimeters long.
Crown to rump.
Crown to rump length, which is medical speak for head to butt.
Yeah.
Which is very funny. But yeah, also my bladder was too full, so they made me like go half empty it. So for next time I know not to make myself desperate for the toilet, but just maybe don't pee before going or something, I don't know. But yeah, did you have a good time?
I mean, as good a time as one can have in a hospital.
Yeah, I've had worse times in hospitals. But yeah, another ultrasound. We were hoping to be able to like tell extended family after this, but we're gonna wait. Wait another week when I'm about 12 weeks for the actual scan and the actual screening, where I won't have as full a bladder and won't be desperate for the toilet.
Okay, so I thought I'd do a bit of a symptom update. I am 11 and a bit weeks, and basically the last couple of weeks there has been a noticeable improvement in things like my energy levels and the like really gross taste in my mouth. They're still shit, like I am fucking exhausted, but like I'm able just to do like a smudge bit more, and that's been the last couple of weeks compared to like the 3 weeks before that, which I was just useless. To be honest, today I've been useless, but whatever, I'm growing a fetus. But one thing that's gotten worse is like nausea and vomiting, and especially like the last week and the last few days I've had this pattern of like feeling okay in the morning. This is not today though. Like today I felt shit all day, but not including today. The last few days I felt like okay in the morning. And by okay I mean I'm exhausted, but I feel like a tired human. Like most days I do not feel human. And then around like 4 or 5 o'clock is when the nausea sits in, and I struggle to eat in the evenings. Like my appetite goes. But usually like breakfast, lunch, I can eat some stuff, and I try and eat as much as possible because my appetite seems normal then, and it's good to get some food in me. And then I'm basically nauseous all evening. And then brushing my teeth in the evening just sets it all off. Like brushing my teeth in the morning, fine. Brushing my teeth in the morning just triggers a gag reflex in me, and the next thing I know, I'm throwing up. Not fun. And also I've been going to bed about 8-9 p.m. I do tend to feel better after I throw up, and then I'm able to like actually get to sleep, although I keep waking up in the night. But it's just like the hours of nausea before then. I'm like
Should I just brush my teeth earlier? Force myself to throw up? Oh, that's not a fun thought.
This week is a week of appointments though. So today, like in less than an hour, we've got an appointment with the obstetrician. So actually like with the medical doctor consultant person. Because of my previous surgeries and my stoma, they need to like meet me and have a look and see if I need extra care during pregnancy and birth. And then Tuesday was supposed to be our fertility clinic appointment, but obviously not going to that. That's cancelled. And then Wednesday is my scan, my rescheduled second scan to do the screenings and stuff. Can you tell? I'm really excited and happy about being pregnant.
It's the next evening and I just had a big vom, so I'm finally feeling up for going through everything that happened yesterday at the doctor's appointment, because we were there for 2 hours. There was a lot to take in, a lot of info going on. There was a lot of stuff that happened, so like urine tests, blood tests, all of that kind of stuff. They've put me on a higher dose of folic acid. Basically, because I don't have a colon, they're concerned about how much I'm actually able to absorb, so they're just like putting me on a higher dose, and I'm on that throughout the entirety of pregnancy, which is interesting because I'd always read just basically 12 weeks prior to conception and then the first 12 weeks of pregnancy you're supposed to take folic acid, but hey, I'm taking 5 milligrams instead of 400 micrograms, I think, every day until child is born. Right, so that's number one. That's probably the mildest thing. Number two, in terms of delivery, because that was something that was talked about, because of my previous surgeries, I'm actually at higher risk if I need a C-section. So it's very much encouraged for me to have a vaginal birth. And that's basically because there is just a chance of scar tissue inside, not necessarily in the places that you want it to be. Ideally, it wouldn't be like around my uterus and stuff. Obviously, everything's going to move around as a fetus grows, but because I had complications from my first surgery and like 5 months later, I had adhesions, which is basically scar tissue on my small intestine. And I had to have another surgery, so they're kind of like, there's a risk of more complications if I were to have a C-section. And they were like, ideally, we would want like the most senior doctor available for a C-section if I had to have one, but you can't predict that. You can't predict like when you're going to go into labor or like if you'll need a C-section. So there's that news, which Dan found very reassuring. Me less so. I mean, it's good that people around me will know that it's like, I mean, it's optimum for most people to give birth vaginally, but maybe it means that like they'll try anything possible for that to work, instead of like being pushed into a C-section. Who knows? We actually now have another appointment with a medical doctor. So I think we were seeing the surgical team. I honestly don't know, but we have in 2 weeks' time another appointment with the doctor, this time a medical doctor, to kind of like confirm a few TBC things. One of the TBC things, which is so frustrating, is like I can't quite remember the reasoning behind this, but something to do with my condition, not pregnancy as my condition, but like my UC, I think it's to do with my inflammation and stuff, means that I'm at a higher risk for blood clots during pregnancy. And so potentially from 28 weeks up to 6 weeks after birth, I'm going to have to take daily blood thinner injections. Now, I've had these before when I was in hospital because I was lying in bed for a month and not moving, and yeah, they gave me blood thinner injections every day to like prevent blood clots. They are not fun. At least my memory of them is really not fun because I was so ill. Like, they were one of the most painful things. Like, the nurse would come around at 5 o'clock every day, and that was my like time for this really horrible injection. And like, it either goes into your stomach or your thigh. That's like where I had it, and I basically had bruises all over me from this injection, and that was from 4 weeks, and this is potentially going to be like 4 months of those daily injections. And obviously, like, we'll have to do them at home. What else? I am going to need serial scans. So normally you just, on the NHS, you get a scan at 12 weeks and you get a scan at 20 weeks. Obviously, we're getting like 2 12-week scans because it was too early last week for them to do some of the screenings. But serial scans basically is after 20 weeks you have more scans. So like, I'm not going to get this entirely right, but like around 28 weeks, 32, 36 or whatever, you just have like more scans in your later pregnancy. And again, I think that's just to like check the growth and position and stuff of the fetus, especially because I don't have a colon, so they just want to make sure that I'm absorbing enough nutrients, and then those nutrients are like, there's enough going around to grow a healthy baby. But yeah, we have a medical appointment in 2 weeks' time to talk to the medical doctor to kind of like confirm a few more of these things, and we'll be able to like talk more, especially after the scan tomorrow. My brain really hasn't gotten past the scan tomorrow. I still don't feel pregnant. I still don't feel like I'm going to have a baby next year. I didn't think I would have like such a medicalized pregnancy, but like it's reassuring because I'm being taken care of, and like it's like they want to cover all bases and just like mitigate as much risk as possible. But I wasn't expecting there to be so much like extra risk involved. But yeah, I just want to feel better and then I can start getting excited. But that was just like a load of information yesterday, and especially a load of information whilst feeling like shit and like this is really hard, and the information just exacerbating that, like, hey, it's going to continue to be hard. Like, this is going to be hard. Oh, right. See you tomorrow for the scan.
I just got back from the scan, my official 12-week scan, and it all looked good. And then they also took some blood, and basically if we don't hear anything in 2 days, then that means that that's all good as well. So fingers crossed. It's grown, the little parasite has grown, obviously. So it's now 56.9 millimeters, and a week ago it was, what did I say? A week ago it was 42.6, I think. Some big growth in the last week. Also, they dated it at 12 weeks, 2 days today, which is strange because exactly a week ago they dated it 11 weeks and 0 days. So somewhere in the last week, I've gotten 2 days more pregnant. But I now have an official due date, which is the 25th of April, which is 5 days earlier than my predicted due date. But we're just going to go with what the doctors are saying. So I changed it over in the Clue app, which I'm using to that due date. I think my sister's gonna be very happy because her birthday is the 26th of April and she's very excited about the idea of sharing a birthday. It feels a bit more real, I think. I'm still feeling shit, but like mentally, now that I know that I'm like 12 weeks, 2 days instead of like 11 and a half weeks, which is what I thought I was by my calculations, then I'm like, oh, well, maybe the end of this shittiness is like sooner than I expected. Fingers crossed. Also, like, my symptoms have been better, but I've just like mentally just been feeling like shit. So like until the scan appointment this afternoon, I was just in bed all day watching New Girl, just feeling absolutely rubbish. But I know that like, whilst I still feel really tired, and then also around this time in the evening now is when my nausea's really gonna kick in. I'm not as tired as I was, but I'm still pooped, and I don't know, will it get gradually better, or will I just wake up one day just like, bing, I'm in my second trimester and I've got that pregnancy glow, and look, there's a bump, and oh my god, I'm actually pregnant. Because I don't know, it still doesn't really feel like it, but we got more pictures, which I won't show you because they've just got personal info all over them. Also, one of the things that I forgot to ask at the doctor's appointment on Monday was about like if I'd be able to have a birth in the midwife-led unit, which is the one where, you know, they've got the baths and they've got the balls and they've got the big rooms with the double bed and like mood lighting. And I forgot to ask if I'd be able to like at least start on the midwife-led unit. I just had a look at my notes, and it does say intended delivery place, consultant-led birthing unit. which is less sexy. But I guess I'm not a low risk birth, I guess, so. But I was on the hospital's website and it was all like, we have one of the lowest cesarean rates of London hospitals. And that's even like on the consultant-led unit. That's the dishwasher beeping. Anyway, I'm gonna lie down and watch more New Girl. Good evening. This might be my last update of this first trimester vlog because I'm currently 13 weeks and 3 days. And my Clue app says I'm still in the first trimester, but the NHS says I'm in my second trimester now, so who knows. But I'm still feeling rough, so it still feels like first trimester. Oh, but I am better. Like, it's currently 6 o'clock in the evening, and this is probably the best I've felt at this time. But I don't know if that's because I threw up earlier, which was weird because I basically went through a phase that was about a week long where I was doing my evening vom after brushing my teeth, and then that stopped. I was still feeling more nauseous and tired in the evenings, but was actually able to get some dinner in me, and then would brush my teeth and not throw up. And that phase has been lasting for a week, so I was like, oh my god, am I over the vomiting? And then I just vomited at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Great, fun times. Anyway, in other news, I literally just had my flu jab because pregnant folks are meant to get the flu jab. We're also meant to get the whooping cough jab. When I told my mum this, she was like, I've not heard of anyone getting the whooping cough since the 1970s. So that's strange, but I had that booked, but the nurse was like, oh, you're not supposed to have that until 16 weeks, so I'll be having that again in 3 weeks time. We've got the appointment booked in for my whooping cough jab. But when I got in, I had a letter from the hospital with lots of pieces of paper in it, so I thought I would see what the situation is and film at the same time. So the first piece of paper is midwife appointment, which is the 16-week follow-up, which I think is just the appointment that we already have. Let me just check those details. Yeah, it's the same day and time. So I think that's just a reminder letter. Right. Then we have another appointment that's been made for us, which is another midwife appointment. Oh, but it's with a different team. So it's with the consultant team, but it's still a midwife clinic. Honestly, don't know what this is, but that's not until February. Results report. Oh, this is my blood group. ARHD negative. What does that mean? Does that just mean I'm A negative? Is that a common one or is that a rare one? I don't know. Fun times. I need to get a hole punch so I can actually like attach all of these pieces of paper into my big maternity folder. Feels like school. It's like I've got my timetable, I've got my notes, I've got my binder. So how many appointments do we currently have lined up? What's next? What's going to be in the next vlog? Coming up on the Hormone Diaries, we have my next obstetrics appointment with the medical doctor to discuss my pregnancy and what extra care I need, if I'm going to need those blood thinning injections. Then we have my follow-up midwife antenatal appointment, the 16-weeker. Then we've got my 20-week scan. And then we've got this other either consultant or midwife appointment, I'm not entirely sure what that is, in February. Those are the current appointments that I have. I am pregnante. I'm still not showing. I don't have a bump yet. I should be showing. I should have a bump by the time this video comes out. So that'll be on my Instagram.
So here we are. As I said at the beginning, as I'm recording this, I'm 14 weeks. When you see this, I'll be 16 weeks. And I actually have noticed in the last like 2-3 days, I've had another one of my improvement shifts, which is promising, is good. I'm like, okay, this is the next one. Like, I'm still definitely not 100%, but I'm able to like keep down dinner a lot more and actually like have a bit more of an appetite in the evenings. I'm able to like do more work and concentrate on work a bit more. My energy is better, but it's not perfect. Hey. Maybe I'll never feel normal again. Who knows? In terms of a bump, I don't really think I've got much of a bump. Basically, after my surgeries in 2019, I developed a lower belly pouch. And so it's really hard to tell, like, is this just my normal belly pouch or is this a pregnancy bump? But 14 weeks, this is what I look like currently. I don't know. So my stoma bag's on this side. So I'm showing you this side because this is actually my body instead of like a sloshy, shit-filled stoma bag. My belly gets to this size normally if I've just eaten something. So who knows? We're not quite in obvious bump territory yet, but I think there's something ever so slight there. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. And honestly, thank you so much for just all of your love on this series, as I've said before, and all of your support and everything. In terms of content going forwards, you can expect the usual stuff from me, but obviously now there'll be like pregnancy integrated things as well. And so if you have any suggestions or ideas of things that you would want to see from me, please let me know. So like if it's an episode of the Hormone Diaries that's a bit more about like my body and symptoms and like pregnancy itself and like the more like medical sex ed like side of things, or on the More Hannah channel there'll definitely be some kind of like integration videos where it comes to like pregnancy and maternity stuff with fashion or work and things like that. So let me know if you have any questions or like topics and stuff that you want to see me cover. So yeah, 25th of April due date. What a time. I'm very excited to be turning 30 when I'm 7 months pregnant, hopefully with a big old bump, and singing along to Bo Burnham. I am one of the stupid friends having stupid children. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.